Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game. Redeeming Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game.
Welcome everybody to the Redeeming the Game podcast. I'm your host, Coach Matt Sanders, and welcome back to part 2. Fly, Eagles, fly. These two Eagles who became Air Force. Okay, so give me your ranks. You go first. How far did you go in the Air Force?
Air Force. I made it to technical sergeant, so E6. But I do want to say, when I got out of active duty, I was a senior airman, and it's a lot different, not a little different, to be promoted in active duty versus in the reserves, which is what I did while I was in college. So I did get up to tech sergeant in the reserves, but when I left active duty, I was a senior airman, so E4. But yeah, so Tim's rank progression is a lot more impressive than mine. But yeah,
I hope so.
Okay, Sergeant Israel. Yeah, because Tim, we're talking about how long were you in is?
Total 9 years.
Okay, all right. So you were close. All right, Tim. So we got Sergeant Israel Childs, or we got Mr. Tim Morrison.
Yeah, so still currently serving. I'm a senior master sergeant, so I'm an E8, and I hope, good Lord, as I'm been doing it twice as long as you did, I hope that I've progressed a little far.
Well, also because you did it in active duty too. So.
Yeah. So the active duty really does make that big of a difference, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you have to test, and it's a lot harder. I mean,
okay.
A lot of time, just time it's a little easier in reverse.
So Master Sergeant 1 Tim Morrison. Wait a minute.
Senior master.
Doctor. Senior Master Sergeant Tim Morrison. And listen, all the things in front of your name don't mean nothing to your kids. They could care less.
Not at all.
I have no clue what
they could care less.
Yeah.
The last thing AJ thinks about is dad's coach. The only time he talks about dad being coach is he was like, my dad tells people about Jesus with basketball. That's it. Nothing else. So he can care less about.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, my kids the same way. They think Tim's job is cool because he's in the military and Army men is their life right now. But yeah, they have no clue what I'll do.
That's awesome. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this one is going to pick back up and we're just going to go for it. And I'm super excited for where this part's going. And we're going to stick with the military theme. The Fly Eagles fly, both these guys in the Air Force, and grateful for your service. So is staying with this. Looking back, how did basketball itself prepare you for the military life? And before you answer, I want to say something to both of you that I wish I knew then that I know now, that I want every coach to hear and everybody listens. Because basketball was designed by Dr. Naismith to be enjoyed, number one, but two, to really, really teach character, that it should have been such an incredible teacher while you enjoyed it. And I'm not saying either one of you didn't enjoy it. There's always parts of it that we didn't enjoy, right? There's plenty of things that we didn't enjoy. However, the teaching part of basketball had so much the ability. And can you imagine if I had looked at both of you and said, did you know that basketball was God's idea? And that his idea was to work through a guy named Naismith to create something that you love as much as God does? Like, I don't know. When I found that out, my mind was blown, like shook, totally shook, brain cooked, the whole nine. Like, so is what now that you hear that, like, what did basketball teach you about the military life?
Well, one thing is, I think Tim and I both can say that your basketball practices were tougher than basic training in the military. So physically, we didn't have a whole lot of issues. We were pretty set, but besides that physical piece of it, I mean, we had a head start with military life. I mean, it helped me build confidence so much because, we went to this small little private school, and I think basketball was where we could really show out and, go to Georgia Tech. And, at first we would get ran out of the gym, but towards the end we were competing, and
absolutely
always building confidence. And what it did, just the little things like, hey, show up 15 minutes early or you're late, or, hey, you finish every single sprint, every suicide, whatever it is that you're doing, you finish it as hard as you can. And those little things that you poured into us, and, of course, our parents poured into us, those things stay with us in the military. And I really, it built a lot of confidence for me, because I come in and, I had a really awesome job that I just got lucky. I had no clue what it was. And I'm working with all these pilots and PJs and just air crew. And I am like, man, like, I'm doing things better than them. And it's because of what you poured into me of doing those little things right and showing up early and giving your best until the job is done. I wish I would have known. I feel like that if I would have known how important it would have been and how much I would have taken with me, I probably would have taken a lot more, because I'm sure there's so many lessons that I missed from you. But something that our old CEO would always say to us is, they don't hear you until you are sick and tired of saying it, whatever message that is. And I think that should be an inspiration to coaches, because there's so many messages that I'm sure that I missed from you, but man, I took so many away that have helped me not only throughout the military and career and being a father and a husband and a good son. And it touches literally every aspect of my life. And
So good.
it's
good.
It's just
Powerful.
I never would have known, but thank God for it.
Come on.
Yeah. Can we, before I answer, can we just talk about the influence that coaches can have? I mean, that can be positive or negative.
Yeah.
Like,
Come on. It's so
we
good.
talked last time about, the end of my baseball career as a little leaguer was because of a coach. But then I look back, and the biggest influence I had in my life were coaches. I mean, maybe it's the sheer amount of time that you spend, the way you get to know them, the way you challenge them. There's some vulnerable moments, but you were, to Iz's point, planting seeds. And I look back over my own journey and am really in awe about how much God has blessed me with the people that he put in my life exactly
Come
when
on.
I needed them. And I may, 16-year-old Tim may not have understood what you were planning in my life, but now 39-year-old Tim most definitely does. And so grateful for all those lessons. And really, feel super undeserving to have so many influential men and women in my life that have planted those seeds. But yeah, we talked previously about the firework incident. So I early on, Israel and I left for the Air Force together. We were on brother flights, meaning like we weren't allowed to talk to one another, but we'd see each other like in between like chow or drilling
You
or
mean
something.
like when I get a haircut and you start grinning at it because I have
Yeah. So for 8 weeks, Israel got referred to as Count Chocula by the TIs because of that widow streak.
with my my widow streak. Yeah.
Because they shave your head, so it's hard to hide that
Yeah.
widow streak with a
Yeah.
shaved head. But early on, like I guess I was just marching good. I don't know what the deal was, but they put me in charge of our flight. So they call you a flight chief. That's the title, and you don't have any more experience. You're trying to lead the same people, or people have the same amount of experience as you do. And man, I would get just destroyed for someone having their boots laced wrong, or there being dust on the broom. Like it was things that were completely, I don't want to say out of my control, but it wasn't my mistakes. But I was just 2:00 in the morning getting woken up and screamed at.
I mean, Coach, it was a death sentence. When I was waiting in line to go eat lunch, and I see that Tim was in the dorm chief position, and I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
I don't want him to get watched back. Like, this is terrible. But then my TI, who they were our brother flight, so we're in the same building, but my TI, he started coming back, and he would say stuff about Tim and say, yeah, that new dorm chief is sharp. And it made me feel so good and proud of him and everything. But, it's something
Gassing you up, Tim.
I didn't feel
so early. And then it was just, I think for Tim, a huge confidence boost to see, okay, now more people outside of small little airway in Douglasville are noticing that, hey, I've got a lot of natural leadership in me.
That's good.
Yeah, and it was those lessons of accountability for others, like being part of a team. One person fails, everybody fails. I remember I was getting screamed at by one, and I was just doing the push-ups with the person who had messed up, and he was screaming at me, like looking for me to make an excuse, and I just wouldn't make an excuse. No excuse. We'll do better. And it was like disarming for that TI because they didn't know what to do. Like, yeah, you're right. There's no excuse. We still got the punishment,
Hey,
but
that's
it
an important
was
lesson right there.
Yeah, buddy.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
Oh, shit.
now I have about 70 people on my team, and I can point out who has played organized sports and who has not
I'm sure.
because
I'm
they
sure.
are selfless. They have a understanding is bigger than them. They're willing to sacrifice and work hard for the people around them. And a lot of young kids that I have, never played organized sports, never received good coaching in their life. It's like a foreign concept, and I'm having to teach it to them for the first time in their lives. So yeah, like I'd encourage coaches, like you may not
So good.
realize you're getting through, but you're
Goodness.
planting seeds that will
Yeah.
blossom later.
And that's why I think that the Lord gave me that phrase, and I really totally believe it's from the Lord, that the idea that we're transformational specialists. That's really what coaches are. Like your job of the seed planting is you're transforming kids' lives one moment at a time, whether it be practice or bus rides or whatever you're doing, the pouring that you're pouring, you're doing, that is transforming them in who they'll become. Right? That whole Romans thing, be transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? That whole transformation is that metamorphosis that takes place is coming from the coach, and like can't downplay it. And if you get so focused on the scoreboard, you'll miss it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, like I said, you're gonna have influence. It can be positive or it can be negative. You're gonna influence kids one way or the other. And a coach like yourself that held yourself to that standard, that showed us what right looked like. It now as a coach, I see it's like it's easy to be like, okay, we'll just skip that drill. Or
Yeah, boy.
that was good enough. Let's move on. Where the hard thing is to go, no, we're going back. We're going back.
Oh.
We're doing that again until we get it right.
Good.
So yeah, again,
Powerful.
holding yourselves and planting those seeds. Definitely
All right,
encourage
Tim, we're
everybody
going to
listening.
stick and stay with you right on this
Yeah.
topic. So, was there ever a time in the military where you thought, coach talked about this?
Yeah, pretty frequently. um, yeah, maybe even from the beginning. I remember the first night you get there, you're still in your civvies, and I'm laying in the bed, not sleeping, just waiting for the next day in anticipation. And I'm like, if they come through that door and ask who wants to go home, I'm raising my hand. It's like I am ready to just.
Yeah.
But the resilience that was built on that basketball court, and there was 100 other times, as it mentioned, like yeah, I've had some really awesome leaders. Shout out Jason McCoy, who's actually one of my peers, who really pushed me in the academic space. There were times during my doctoral journey that I'm like, Scarlett, I don't think I can do this. Like, I'm just gonna pack it up and go home.
Yeah, come on.
But there was something in me that just wouldn't let it happen. Like, you set this goal, you're going to sacrifice to make it happen. You're going to set the example for your children. You're going to get it done. So, yeah, I've found those times. My first duty station was super challenging because of the nature of the mission. We had leaders that I really don't think cared whether we were dead or alive, to be frank with you. But it was like, okay, there's a need for me to step up, be a leader, be in that locker room, be that glue guy again. And I really, man, the people that I work with there, made a huge lasting impression in my life, and they're still friends to this day. A lot of them aren't in the military anymore, but yeah, there's lesson after lesson. Back to being that role player of like see the need, fill
Come
the
on.
need, contribute to the
powerful.
team.
Is
I mean, I probably every day that I was in the military, I thought in some way about this. I think for me, it was a little different. And I think that I even though, yes, I played basketball for Airway for a long time before you were there. I guess I was varsity, and it was Will Campbell when I was in 8th grade. And then I had Jack Stewart before that. And I was the younger guy then, so they weren't like super hard on me. And you came in and you were really the first person in my life that had ever been that hard on me. just in school, I did pretty well and, didn't have too much trouble. And then in sports I did, and, I was playing on varsity. So I was the young guy, but you were really hard on me. And that never really upset me with you. I guess I was a little annoyed because with other people that would just like notice it, but they didn't understand that I knew that you loved me so much that that was you believing in me. And I thought I understood that at that time, but even more today and throughout my life, I know that even more, and it continues to grow. So
Wow. Powerful.
you were hard on me, and I think that if I didn't have that from you, because honestly, you probably were the only one until, I had some tough teachers, I guess, but really until the military. And then people are very hard on you. That would have been very hard for me to adjust to, just my personality wise and everything. And
Yeah.
I think that you really helped prepare me for that. And that was a big thing in the military, but also just confidence and believing in myself, and starting with knowing that, hey, I can't accomplish it, but I got to believe in myself, and, believe and dream big and just see the ball go in the net. So
good.
I
So
think
good.
that pretty much sums it up for me.
Okay. Well, before we move on to segment 2 here in question 2, I want to read Romans 5, 3 through 5, because I think it speaks to exactly what we're talking about. We can rejoice too when we run into problems and trials, for we know that they help develop endurance. Right? What you just said. And endurance develops strength of character, and character strengthens confidence of hope of salvation. And this hope will not lead us into disappointment. That's powerful.
Amen.
Just think
Amen.
about that, man. My goodness. For we know how dearly God loves us, because he has given us the Holy Spirit to fill our hearts with his love. And I mean, I just think, like, the perseverance, the endurance, but what you said is, and I know, Tim, you've said this to me 100 times, so I'm not going to repeat it out of redundancy, but like, the thing that I look back on as you were talking, I'm going to talk about myself here. The thing that I look back on is I don't have regrets of how I treated you or mistreated you. I have reflections on, I wish I could have shown you a different way to push you so that you knew that I loved you even more. Like that. But we lived in a different time period that was very different. That militaristic kind of coaching was very common, and everybody kind of did it. And now I see on the other side of it, like, yes, it would have been fine, but if you knew what I know now, man, I think the heights would have been nuts. However, God can take a crooked stick and draw a straight line. Right? And I know that even in my own ridiculous stupidity of immaturity, he drew that straight line to your heart. And you even said, well, yeah, I knew, like, the people, your parents, I'm sure your parents thought I was a raging idiot. And I totally was. And yet on somehow our relationship, it brought you to a place where you knew I loved you. And even now, and I think that's the most, really, to be honest, that's the most important part, right? Like, that's the part that matters the most. So, Tim, you want to say something?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt that we knew that you loved us, that you cared for us.
Absolutely not.
You talk about transformational leadership, and that's something that the Air Force is huge on. That's kind of what they aspire us all to be. And I always tell my leaders, you're not gonna be able to transform somebody, number one, if they don't want to be transformed. Like, if they have no
True.
buy-in to what you're trying to do,
True.
great, try to transform them, but they're just gonna be running wild. It starts with that relationship.
It
Like,
does.
you gotta know that you're invested in their success. You gotta know what success looks like to them to help them achieve that. And until you have that, professional, but until you have that personal relationship with them,
True.
you can try to transform all you want. Nothing's going to happen.
Right.
So there was
true.
no doubt, because of the relationships you had with us, I knew that if I picked up the phone, you would be there. Regardless if it was some dumb decision that I made to put me in that situation or not, there would be repercussions for sure. And my parents were, you weren't going to hide anything from my parents, but there was no doubt that you were living what you were telling us.
I mean,
Great.
you gave me your truck so I could have a
It's
job.
true. It's true. It's
Yeah,
it's
I
true.
think I
It's
knew
true.
you loved me. So it was never, it was always just me being insecure about other people. Like, man, he's hard on you. But yeah, it was never a doubt in my mind either. But I think this is such a good thing for not just coaches to hear, but if you're leading anybody, you know, whether it be your family or at work or whatever, because there's a lot of uncertainty that comes with that. And like you question yourself, am I doing the right thing? Am I being too hard? And this goes back to no, like I know that if I really love that person, I'm going to do my best to pull the best out of them. So if
Good.
people are feeling that way,
That's
I
right.
know I need to be reminded in all of my roles in my life, all the time. I need to be reminded of
Yeah.
things like that. So it's
Don't you feel like leadership and coaching really are hand in hand? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
how much in the workplace are you coaching, even though you're not a coach? Like, how much of your
Absolutely.
job involves coaching?
Totally.
Well, not to like, I know I'm coined the nickname Old Big Head, but not to blow your head up, coach, but yeah, I mean, there's so many times that as a leader, I think to myself, okay, what would Coach Sanders do in this situation? How would you handle that conversation, whatever it may be? Because that's the impact that I've had. I mean, that you said 25 years, like that was a long time ago. I mean, that was,
Crazy.
I mean, it's
I
not
will
all-
warn you though that chucking a folding chair in the office may not be the right solution. So temper
It's
that
not.
with coach.
It
No.
got the point across.
Yeah. Well, getting the point across and doing it are two different things, and one of them gets you fired, and the other one, yeah, don't do it. Yeah, it's really not worth it. Yeah. It's funny you say that about picking up the phone. Your boy Lil Dean, shout out Dennis Holmes. Of all the things to call me for, last week I think, my phone blows up and he's like, "Yo, coach, I got an important question." I'm like, "Oh no," and so I'm like, "Okay, go for it." He's like, "I'm gonna pick up golf. Can you help me?"
Oh my God.
So I'm out here giving Lil Dean, shout out Dennis Holmes, some golf info. So and I said this on a TikTok the other day, like the one thing that I think I learned it from both of the coaches that I worked for in college, but the last one, Rick Hughes, shout out Coach Hughes, was that we were in his house a lot. We were over there a lot, and I think that, you know, April and I kind of bought into that, and I just felt like that. And even shout out my high school coach, Coach Don Ledbetter. We were at his house too, not as much as you guys were at mine, but we were at his house, and we felt like he was invested us in that way. I just took it to another level because I just felt like I wanted it to be more, right? To the point where it drove April crazy. If you guys only knew. I mean, it drove her bonkers out. Like, hey, can we have the guys over this week? Hey, can we have the guys over? You know, can we do this? Can we do that? Well, we don't have the money for that. And I'm like, Airway pays $19,000, $100 a month. You know, like all the things. Like, you know,
Crazy.
still, that number is what. That wasn't a fake. I didn't make that up. Like, how did we live? I still don't know. All right.
I've thought that many times. I don't know how you did it, but
I still don't. Only by the grace of God, boys.
Yeah.
Only by the grace of God.
I'd like to see what that translated per hour, the amount of time that you spent inside of that building.
I will tell you that
Wow.
the lessons that I've learned in that are helping me now. And maybe this is good for both of you to hear. I'm telling younger people that are trying to get into whatever industry, but the coaching industry, don't downplay, don't let somebody downplay your value by paying you less because you're young. And if you were like this one kid I'm working with, he was a phenomenal college player and he's a great basketball trainer. And this coach is trying to hire him for like pennies. And I was like, don't sign on the dotted line. You're worth more than that. Don't downplay your value because the industry says that. Like, know your value and don't sign on the dotted line until your value is met. Because what they're going to do is they're going to pay you small and ask you to do 17 other asterisks, right? And I wish I'd have known that.
You couldn't say enough, and that definitely applies way more than coaching. So you're right.
100%.
We need to hear that. And somebody who you and I both have a connection with outside of Airway in Douglasville, Miss Hallie Hughes. She was one that, I mean, she's one of my best leaders on my team. You know her. I mean, she's amazing. And I got a lot of pushback early on because she comes in and just killed it not only on the sales team but as a leader. And I'm wanting just, hey, we need to take care of her and promote her. She's the one we need to. And I got a lot of pushback early on, and just hats off to her. She did what you said, and I think she's got great parents, and I know she relies on her dad a lot for those type of things. So yeah, she's the one that she kept pushing, and I'm very happy to say, hey, there's times we'll still fight that battle, but she's doing great, and she does that. So it's very relevant in business.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, that whole value thing is something that I'm just even right now, I'm starting to learn, even as a basketball missionary, like when I go places to speak and stuff like that, what value do I carry? What am I bringing to this situation? And if you don't think that, I'm not coming. Like, this is what I know that God has placed on my life. This is what I know I bring to the table. And if you're not willing to compensate that, then we can't do this, because I know what my value is. And I'm not being arrogant. I'm just saying, both of you have, in what you do, know your value and take it into the conversations with other people and be like, I'm not coming there with that. Like, if you can't, and I wish I'd known that, because my goodness, I would have, there were people around me doing 1/4 the amount of work that I was doing, and the 1/16 the hours, and making $20,000 to $25,000 more than I was making. And no offense to them, I would have done the same thing if I was allowed. Sure. But
yeah, well, I add this before I go into conversations like that, where I know I have to, and many other times too, but I think it applies because I do think that you were exactly where God wanted you to be, and you were finding your purpose, and
For sure.
as we all continue to, but you made a huge impact there, and got I feel like you did this at Airway because I think I saw things change, from going there my whole life to you show up, and it was a different world in a wonderful way, but you went in there like God sent you there, and you knew that.
Yeah.
And he said, you are
100%
to do that. And so that's what I try to tell myself before conversations like that. And like I said, other times I'm going in there like God himself sent me in this room. And
come on, it's good.
Could you imagine of what that would have looked like for us if the 19 number was like, I don't know how I'm going to make this happen. You know what I mean? Like, a coach had to take a step of faith to be like, okay, we're going to figure this out. You don't walk into Airway and you're like blown away by the facilities. Like, I imagine your first time in there, you're like, you're eating lunch on my basketball court.
So true.
I'm sure there was a leap of faith of being like, all right, God, like, you got this. I'm going to do this for $1.25 an hour based on the amount of time I'm in this gym.
Yeah,
But this is where I'm
100%.
supposed to be. There's a leap of faith that
Yeah.
that's where God had you for the season, and thank God for that in my personal life and so many
100%.
others.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. And even for me, and like, even to not to belabor the point, but like, to even getting to Airway, the story that led up to that is wild. And then what you said is real. There's no way I'm there without the leading of the Spirit and God doing it. There's no chance, because I would have never taken it, because I actually thought I had even more value than I was being brought in for, because I knew what I had learned at the college level and what I was doing with Shot Doctor at the time. Shot Doctor was paying me 3 times as much as Airway was paying me in 1 week. 3 times, and I'm not exaggerating. All right, so let's get ready to land this plane. Again, for you guys who listen and watch every week, thank you so much. It means the world to me and April and AJ. And as you know, we don't make a dime off this thing. We wanted this thing when we started it. And fellas, you are on an incredibly important podcast. I think this is episode 30, and this is the year to the day that I started actually interacting on social media with Redeeming the Game. Redeeming the Game was really born today. The podcast didn't start till February, but a big day. So I'm excited you guys are here. All you guys who are watching, listening, thank you so much. Continue to like and subscribe, but most importantly, share with everybody you know that's in leadership, like Iz is talking about, as both these guys are not necessarily in the professional coaching world, but coaching their kids. And we need all the businessmen and women to hear what God's doing through Redeeming this Game every single week. So, all right, let's land this plane. Your husbands and your fathers, Tim, what are we, 2 months away from full retirement? Am I right about that?
Almost, yeah. We're
Almost.
officially retired 1 March, but we'll hang the uniform up in November.
Okay, we're gonna hang it up. So March 1. So you walked away from the military some time ago, and Tim, you're retiring. How and we'll stick with you here. How has your definition of success changed?
I mean, it nothing like it was before. Because I feel like I thought I was, I had big dreams and goals, and looking back on it, that wasn't the case. My focus was everywhere, and I guess it was all about achievement and money and title, and you know it it really changed for me. I think when I had kids, and my my wife definitely played a huge impact on me, just kind of having the wisdom and confidence to know, like, okay, the goal is not to get more or bigger house or better cars or better title, whatever. It's, hey, let's have peace in our home, and let's be together and raise kids together, and make sure that they know that none of this is possible without Jesus. And that's something that I feel like I've always known in my heart, but it wasn't until I had kids that I was like, no, like,
Wow.
now I know why I'm here, and I am on a mission, and I will do everything I can to make sure that they have peace, and they know
Come
why
on.
they're here. So that went
good.
from, I thought just whatever I could do in my job or on a business, like none of that matters. It's fun, and it helps me grow. The lessons I learned going through those hard things help me grow, but really that's so that I'm a better husband, a better father, and
Well,
a better son and friend to Tim. And it's something that I am so thankful for, and I don't know how God would have done it without you and the team and everything. And but I know He would have. But it's just something that, man, I wouldn't trade. So
come on. That's good. That's
so
good.
thankful.
It's good. Tim.
Yeah, it is nailed it. I mean, back then, we're talking about comparing from then to now. It was state championship, right? It was to be champions. It was to cut those
Yeah.
nets down. That's what we were working towards every single day, and we achieved it. And we achieved it my junior year as a senior. We achieved it again the next year, and then life moved on. Like, we're super proud, and I hold that really close to my heart. But it's more about the people and the
Yeah.
relationships and the memories than it was a state champ. What I mean? Like, nobody cares. My kids,
Absolutely.
my
Absolutely.
coworkers don't care. Yeah, and like I said previously, I dealt with a lot of self-image, self-love, self-acceptance kind of things, and it's always like, if you get this, then you'll be happy with yourself.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
if yeah, and no matter how much success, quote unquote, that I've achieved, like, done well for myself. Like we just talked about before, I'm in the top 2% of the enlisted force in the Air Force. I completed the top 1% of education, that population has. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I got out of the Air Force so I could go to school because I wanted to make that a priority. And then Tim stays in and goes on to get a doctorate degree. So thanks, pal.
But honestly, it means nothing. You know what I mean? Like,
Good.
it's
No, it's
what is
good. It's
what is
good.
God. It didn't fill any hole in my heart. It didn't. Success to me now is like, at the end, when I hear that, well done, good and faithful, like, that's what I live for. And every day it's working toward, what is God giving me today? What is He,
Come on.
what I'm supposed to be a custodian of, that He's given me? And some days I do it better than others, for sure. But success,
Awesome.
like, yeah, and this is a seed that you're really, I'm peeling back the layers of my heart here. I'm in a real transition here. What's next for me?
Yeah.
My identity has been wrapped up in being a military member for the last 20 years, and that's about to go away. So is it really the identity and what I'm doing is, or identity in Christ? And what I'm doing is just a vehicle for that, So
Yeah.
I am every day in the renewing of my mind, not living in the anxiety of what's next, not living in what the world deems as successful or not. It's like being faithful in what God has for me today, and being a husband and being a father and being a leader. and being faithful in whatever he has for me next. So
Okay,
success
so
is, yeah.
go ahead and say it.
No, it's like success is just relative. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what I feel
it's
like.
almost irrelevant, right? I'm sure if you've watched my reels at all, I shout out my boy Phil Morrison all the time, and he got this quote from somebody, but like the truth is our purpose on this planet, being Christians, little Christ ones, is if you just get on fire for Jesus, people will come watch you burn. So your whole point is the whole purpose is to burn. Just your kids, your wife, your fellow employees, your you're like doesn't matter what you choose. If you burn, then you're doing it, right? So God gives you the ability to have a calling, which is your occupation, whatever that is, and you can choose that, and He bursts that inside of us. But the thing that we miss so much is to burn. Like
Oh,
if
for
you
sure.
just show up and burn, then the rest of that the success is I want to be like that guy. Whatever he has is missing in me, and I want that, even if you never speak the name Jesus.
Oh, for sure. And that's what I'm struggling now, coach, is like, if from the outside looking in, I've had a super successful Air Force career, but all I can do is look back and how many years did I have opportunities to show the love of Christ, but I was just a poor example? How many people did I come in contact with that I completely swung and miss getting to witness into their lives? Like you may say, like 20 years, you finish, across the finish line, you succeed success in the rank you achieve, but all I see is all the failures of what God was putting me in that position, and I just missed it. So yeah, it's about, you're 100% right. It's about that burn
It
and
is.
Yeah,
wherever you're at.
and there's wisdom that comes from that too.
100%.
Yeah.
That's good. Is well, and I'll say this as we close out, that one of the things that I'm learning as I'm kind of peeling back the years, like I get a little emotional thinking about how I treated each of you in the heat of battle, in practice, in the heat of battle of games, and I regret the treatment. But what I know is that as I'm peeling this back, that the lives that are being touched along the way with how bad I was to who I am now and what God is working in it with. And I think, Tim, that's the most important thing. Like the success that goes forth now doesn't matter what you touch, that you just burn. And then along the way, if there were people that you planted seeds that you didn't think you planted seeds, they're going to come back to and go, hey, you said that and it changed my life. And what are you doing
never
now?
know.
It's the course of the way that God works out everything. Romans 8:28 is legit. He is working all things out for our good because we're all called according to his purpose. And his purpose is to burn. I mean, we're just here to burn for our kids, our wives, our families, all of it. So, all right, boys. Well, man, I can't tell you how much I love and appreciate both of you. This podcast over the last 2 episodes has been incredible. As I do with all my former players, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to a minute. You can roast however you want to roast me, or make a funny comment, whatever you want to do, and then we're gonna call it a day.
Who's going first?
You're up first because I know you got one to go. I know you got one burning.
Well, first, before any roasting, I do want to say you're being hard on yourself, and I want you to know on record, that's not how we viewed it at all. You
Right.
know, I don't think that I viewed it as bad treatment ever. We're very thankful for it, but yeah, I mean, I do want to say, I know that the name Israel Childs was heard louder than maybe it will ever be heard in some of those gyms around Metro Atlanta, because anytime that I messed up, I know that it was always heard. But going back to it, there was never any. Obviously, you know, I would have an attitude or whatever and be, you know, a teenager, but it was never any hard feelings, and I knew you loved me the whole time. I will say, going back to Joe Drahan and the pyro,
Shout out Joe.
we may have already told you this, but
Our Joe.
there was a night that we went over to your house and shot bottle rockets at your window about 10 o'clock in Temple. And we thought that
That
you would
was
know that it
y'all.
us. We thought you would know it was us, but you didn't, and we just played along and never told you. So I figured
Oh
now
my
is a good
God.
time
I
to tell you
can't-
about this.
They call it amnesty hour. in the military
So we
coach.
get to school the next week, and he's like telling everybody, "Yeah, I had somebody shooting fireworks," and we're like, "How does he not know?" But anyway, it was Joe's idea, you know.
Okay. of course
I
it was.
completely forgot about that.
Tim?
No, for me, it's all love. You know, I like to bring up a lot of stories. I'll tell you one of my favorite stories, and to be unnamed of who it was, but somebody disagreed with your coaching in mid-game, came and took their kid off the bench. And I thought you were going to come unglued, but
Wait, what? Was I there for this?
nah, it was JV.
Uh,
But yeah, no, it's all love. I would say, like, man, if you could live up to the influence that, you know, for your listeners that Coach had in so many of, not just his and I, but so many of our lives, like who stays in contact with somebody 25 years later?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
seriously. I thought about
Who-
that. Yep. It made me
That
think
is
about
so
what-
rare.
Yeah, and it made me think about shout out Kenneth Mayo, shout out David Brock, shout out Lil Dean, shout out EJ, like all the people that we all still somewhat hear from, but I hear from time to time.
Yeah.
Some more than others, but we definitely hear from them and love them and we just miss everybody. Barbara Brown, Barbara Griffith, shout out
Mhm.
Phyllis Campbell, who's going to hear this, right?
Yep.
Yeah, just there's so much
Thank you.
love and appreciation there. Well, I love you both.
Same.
This is going to be awesome. Your families and all the people from the Airway community are going to love to hear and see this. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you both coming on. And, you know, if you're a coach and you've been watching, this one's a good one to grab the 10 things that I wish I knew as a young head coach in the show notes. This one is really, really good because it speaks to so much of what we talked about today. And then if you've got questions about any of that, I need you to email me at matt@redeemingthegame.com. I really, really need you to do that. And as we say each and every week, love you boys, appreciate you. But we say this every single week. We are redeeming this game, one coach, one family, and one player at a time. I hope this blesses you. See you next week.
Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game. Redeeming the game.